everybody. Happy Thursday. I was maybe going to wait until tomorrow to do a live stream, but I think this trailer story is pretty good, and I thought that it was worth discussing. So yes, it's so nice to see everybody. I'm also working on my Predator spoiler review, hopefully for later today. Hey, Danny, thank you for gifting a membership. And it's pretty, I think things are going to start to pick up. I'm pretty excited about it. It's already getting good, getting close to like Wicked and Zootopia. But it's very exciting. Emma, you're always, X-Men superfan, you're always so generous. I really appreciate it. You guys are always so kind. Thank you, Jonah. All right, so we're going to talk about these 3 stories of the day. Please keep your questions and comments to the story at hand. And then, of course, as always, there will be an Ask Me Anything at the end of the stream. A different Jonah Jameson. I know that you're not big on the compliments there, Jonah Jameson. You guys are all so sweet. Thank you, Lila. You guys are really nice. Did I watch the Michael trailer? I sure did, Karen. I got a reaction up right now. I hope you'll go and check it out. Okay, so let's get started. All right. Thank you. You guys are all so kind. Thank you so much. Story number 1. Boop. Oh, Trailer City, baby. I am very excited. I'm not going on vacation this year. So I had a great vacation. I don't regret it for a second, but I'm very glad I'll be able to cover these trailers. All right. So let's talk about what's coming, and when it might be coming, because December is a long month. Okay. So Avengers Doomsday. This has been a rumor for a while. A lot of people, a lot of scoopers, anonymous scoopers. Let me tell you, Marvel's very aggressive. Marvel really pays attention because they have a real leak problem over at Marvel, a horrible leak problem. And so for a while now, a couple of scoopers have been saying that there's going to be a Doomsday trailer in front of Avatar Fire and Ash. Thank you, Loy. And I've even seen a couple of reports that go into detail. I haven't looked at them because I'd like to be surprised. Thank you very much. I would like to experience the trailer with all of you in a reaction. If I know every single beat in the trailer, I think that's really not going to be very fun. However, the reason I was able to do a story today is that Collider, which I thought was fascinating, especially if you know behind the scenes stuff, Collider ran an article on their website today with their names on it, saying that they can confirm that the Avengers Doomsday trailer will play in front of Avatar Fire and Ash. I'm shocked that they did that. Variety spoils a bunch of stuff for Marvel and they never have any repercussions. We'll see if it's the same for Collider. But I'm just really surprised that they felt that they could do that. I think it also kind of highlights the pressure that a lot of people are under these days. There's a lot of scoopers out there. It used to just be you'd have an official website, but a lot of people feel that those guys are, there's varying degrees of how much of a shill are you, right? You see those accusations. So I think that, oh, geez, you guys are telling me, did Grand Theft Auto just get delayed again? Well, that's wonderful for everybody who has a movie coming out in May. Oh, so November 2026, right before Avengers Doomsday? That's hilarious. That's very funny. That's a great thing to hear. I wonder what they're going to do about with their Avengers movie. That's really funny. Okay. All right. I think one part of the feeling was that Avengers Doomsday had moved in the first place to avoid Grand Theft Auto. Maybe they'll go, yoink, give us our date back. Devil Wears Prada. But then maybe there might be a situation where then that's going to really ruin everything for Mandalorian and Grogu and Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat comes out the week after Devil Wears Prada now. So that's pretty funny. Grant that maybe they'll be like, forget it, probably get delayed again. I'd call them up and be like, can't you release this thing like in February or something? Thank you, The Real Alchemist. Okay, so Collider felt confident enough and enough pressure that they wanted to be the ones to officially report this. Their relationship with Marvel and Disney be damned. Okay, so what would I tell you? Well, let's just say I'll do what I did before, right? Like, I can't confirm that there's going to be a Doomsday trailer in front of Avatar Fire and Ash, but if I were to place a bet, I would feel comfortable placing that bet on that scenario. That's what I'll tell you. Now, of course, a lot of people are also wondering if there's going to be a Supergirl trailer in December, because Superman debuted a trailer in December last year incredibly effectively. I do feel okay telling you that, yes, there will be a Supergirl trailer in December. Oh, I don't know exactly when. We're going to talk about that, but I have heard that there is going to be a Supergirl trailer in December. Good. That's great. I love that we're going to have a Marvel and a DC trailer in December. That's the way it should be. Thank you very much. So I'm excited about that. As for Spider-Man Brand New Day, I've seen a couple of people, Juan says Super Bowl. I've seen a couple of people say that maybe it'll be at CCXP. Brazil loves its superhero stories, and they're a wonderful fandom. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Superman Brand New Day. I've asked, and I couldn't get confirmation either or. So let's see what happens with Spider-Man Brand New Day. They might decide it's a little bit too crowded in December already with Supergirl and Avengers Doomsday, if Avengers Doomsday were to come out in December. All right, so let's talk about the potential dates, the release dates. So there's a little something called CCXP, which has become more and more well-known to North American. This is the Brazil Comic-Con. Remember, because of the equator, the seasons are flipped. So south of the equator, our winter is their summer. So they have their Comic-Con right in the middle of their summer, which works out great for us because it doesn't conflict with our summer Comic-Con. But CCXP is a major event, and over the years, it's become bigger and bigger and bigger. The only panel that's confirmed now for CCXP is The Boys Season 5, which I'm very excited about. All right, so I think if I had to guess, because I haven't heard confirmation as to when the Supergirl trailer is dropping, I would put it here. I would put it here because Brazil loves DC more than it loves Marvel. Brazil loves DC. They love them so much. They're just their best. Did I say Superman Brand New Day? Apologies. I meant Spider-Man Brand New Day. But we're talking about Supergirl. I predict that Supergirl will be at CCXP. Not only because Brazil just loves DC. They just love it. They love DC so much. But also there are rumors going around that there will be a panel. I gotta make my arrow right. It's too tiny. Okay, there will be a panel and an interactive booth. So it looks like Warner Brothers is going all in on Supergirl at CCXP. So it sounds like the right place to debut a trailer. You think they'll get a Clayface trailer? I don't think so. Maybe a tease or a poster, but Clayface doesn't come out until September. It's almost basically a year away. And so I think that they're going to focus on Supergirl. Maybe something for Lanterns, but let's see what they decide to do. Maybe that's a good point. I haven't heard anything about Lanterns. I sure would like that because Lanterns is supposed to be coming pretty soon as well. Oh, you mean the Clayface trailer will be in front of Supergirl? Probably. Although I don't know if I'd want to distract from Supergirl. All right. So anyway, yes, that if I were going to bet, I would bet that Supergirl would come out at CCXP. Now, how about Doomsday? Well, here's why I think it makes sense that it would come out instead later in the month with Avatar Fire and Ash. There's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, big movie coattails. Avatar, there hasn't been a lot of heat for this third film, but we've doubted Avatar before and it managed to still deliver. So I think that, it would be a good package deal. Then, of course, while Warner Brothers has no interest in gassing up Avatar, and by the way, if a Supergirl trailer debuts at the beginning of the month at CCXP, it will play in front of Avatar, so don't worry about that. Carrie says, do you think we'll get a Batman 2 casting announcement at CCXP? Maybe. I'm not sure. Let's see what panels are announced. I think we'll have a better idea of what's going to go down at CCXP when we know what the panel lineup is. So yeah, so Avatar and Avengers Doomsday are both Disney movies. So Disney will want to help both films. So they're going to want to put their Avengers Doomsday trailer in front of Avatar Fire and Ash to make Avatar Fire and Ash seem like a bigger deal and to try and get you to go and see. Maybe they'll make it theater exclusive. I think the internet would riot and come for Kevin Feige. I mean, that's a Christopher Nolan type move. I don't think they're going to do that. But people, it's a thing wanting to see it on the big screen. So I think that's a good thing. But then also I want to bring up Superman. Now, last year, the Superman trailer came out right when Avatar is coming out, the weekend before Christmas. And I had hoped that it would come out at CCXP. I was pushing for it to come out at CCXP because that was before I went on vacation. But no such luck for me. And the trailer was extremely successful. Superman did extremely well as a debut trailer. Really hot out of the gate. It was the last thing that Josh, I forgot the last name. This guy's got to get back in the game. The guy at Warner Brothers was one of the last things he planned for the studio. And it went amazing, just absolutely amazing. And so I think that they're going to want to repeat that. I'm sure that Supergirl you would think that Supergirl would want to repeat that. But I don't think Supergirl is going to want to go head to head with Avengers Doomsday if that trailer is dropping. If the trailer is dropping, okay, I think that Supergirl wouldn't want to have to compete with it. I think, let them both have their spaces. So let Supergirl come out at the beginning of the month and Avengers Doomsday in the middle of the month. And I don't really know if there's any room for Spidey there. But, Spidey's awfully popular. Sony can drop that trailer whenever they want, and it will be huge. So very exciting. A lot of big movies will want to put their trailers in front of Avatar. So it should be a great time for trailers. Remember, last year, there was no big movie for December because of the strikes and everything like that. That was just, that's why it was a little bit off last year. It was Mufasa and Sonic 3 that came out. But this time, your little Gabriel, your little dog too. No, who said that? Yeah. I think Goldstein is an advisor at Paramount. I don't know if he's actually on the staff there. And let's see if the Ellisons keep him, although I would think they would. So yeah, so that's pretty amazing. So let's see what happens. But that's, that's how I, based on all the information that I get, and also my experience and my my gut feeling as well, like a perfect storm. That's what if I were making a bet, that's what I would place it on. I would place it on Supergirl at CCXP and Avengers Doomsday the week of release of Avengers Doomsday. So we'll see what happens. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this story? Daniel says, if Supergirl is better than Superman, will Gunn take all the credit? I don't think that Supergirl will do better than Superman. I just don't. I hope it does close to as well, but I don't think it will do better. Oh, wait, what about Stranger Things? I don't understand what you're asking me about. Stranger Things? You think it's going to have a trailer in front of these movies? CC Black says, what do you think about the pic Marvel posted on X? I didn't see the picture that they posted on X. What are you referring to? Let me go see if I can see it real quick. Marvel Studios or Marvel Comics? Somebody just told me what they said. I can't go look for it now. Jason Momoa's in the movie for sure, but I still don't think it's going to do that much better. Sahib, you think Doomsday will be a theater exclusive only for the weekend? Maybe. I'd be really surprised if it was. Hopefully that's not the case. Hey, Quinn, I like that picture of you. Oh, Away says, do you think Stranger Things 5 will hurt the trailers? No, I don't, because Stranger Things 5 comes out Thanksgiving, then Christmas, and then New Year's, and neither of these things are anywhere near those drop dates. Your little dog too says, how about a Masters of the Universe trailer? Well, they'll probably like, how can we get Jared Leto out of this? We'll see. That might be in front of Avatar, for sure. I haven't heard anything about it. Let's see here. Just Coolin says they should move Avengers to August and Spidey to December. Nobody wants to be near Grand Theft Auto. Let's see what they decide to do. Let me see if that's trending about Grand Theft Auto. I bet it is. Oh, number 2. Right behind Nancy Pelosi. What a world that we live in. The hotly anticipated Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed once again from May 6th to November 19th. What a revolting thing for all the movies coming out in December. I bet you it gets delayed again. Oh, wait, you already scheduled time off from work? Well, it's pretty early. Can't you reschedule? Oh, the legendary movie critic says the Odyssey trailer in front of Wicked for Good? I don't think so. I think that that is not a good, I mean, maybe, but I can't think of a worse fit in audiences. You know, I think that Nolan and Wicked are not a fit. Adam Sear says, what would be good box office for Supergirl? I think coming in somewhere close, you know, I hope as long as it makes its money back and coming in somewhere close to Superman, I think would be important. Oh, a Reed and Stark pick. Well, I told you I think they're the same. They have to be. He's got Tony Stark's face. And then Adam Sphere says, is it realistic for Supergirl to do Superman numbers? Well, let's see the trailer, right? Maybe it's going to look really good. And then X-Men Superfan says, how do you think the Supergirl could be a hype for it could be higher for people that did not watch Peacemaker? Well, I think what's really going to be great about Supergirl is that James Gunn didn't direct it and he didn't write it. I mean, he was involved in the writing process, but it's finally going to be some DC, that and Lanterns are going to be DC content from other creatives. And I think we're all really excited to see what that looks like. Supergirl is directed by Craig Gillespie, who I don't have tremendous faith in his ability to be commercial, to be honest with you. Some of you are saying, what if she does Wonder Woman numbers? I don't think Millie Alcock is as well cast as Gal Gadot was. I think she's well cast for sure, but Supergirl, I mean, let's see. I wouldn't have expected Wonder Woman to do as well as it did. Although when I saw the movie, I was really impressed. So maybe Supergirl will be that good. I think it depends on how big Jason Momoa's role is. But I just don't, you know, Wonder Woman, oh, that's true, a bigger character. I think Wonder Woman, and I think comic book movies were doing a little bit better at that point. That was pre-pandemic. You know, official Liam, I think that Craig Gillespie could do a good job. Tanya and Cruella were great, but I have to say, they weren't male-friendly films, either one of them. And remember, the core audience for a superhero movie is men. So I don't know about Craig Gillespie's ability to win guys over. So we'll see. You know, we'll see. I'm a little nervous about it. Danny, I'm not sure when we're getting casting news for the DCU Batman. Hopefully it's CCXP. That would be wonderful. Well, I think, you know, Gal Gadot, as horrible as an actress she might be in every other role, I think she was a very good Wonder Woman because, you know, Wonder Woman was supposed to be awkward and didn't know anything about man's world, right? Morph says Sydney Sweeney should be Supergirl. No, you have to have women want to go as well. So you can't have a cheesecake Supergirl. Happy Thursday to you too, Brad. I think Sydney Sweeney doing Barbarella was a good idea. I wonder what happened to that. All right. Let's get on to the next story of the day. Story number 2. Boop, all Gremlins. Okay, who's a Gremlins fan? This certainly trended. Let's do this. Are you a Gremlins fan? Love them. They're fun. Maybe with Labubu. Maybe that's why they decided to do Gremlins. I just thought of that. They're like, boy, Labubu sure is popular. What if we brought Gremlins back? I'm like, I don't know. Thanks, Weesey. Meh. And then, not familiar again. Not familiar. By the way, anyone who's watching can vote in a poll. You don't have to be a member to vote in a poll. So all you got to do is click on the poll and let your voice be heard. Okay, where's my arrow? Let me go get my arrow. There we go. All right. So this news was announced this morning on the Warner Brothers investor calls as he's like, I got news, baby. And he announced a couple of things. Apparently, one of you said he also announced a weapons prequel. I don't think he made huge headlines. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. He's trying to get it sold, right? So I think that's all he really cares about right now. But they're still making deals. And he announced that they're making Gremlins 3. Oh, it's coming, baby. And he said it's coming for Thanksgiving 2027 with the Wicked date, the weekend before Thanksgiving. Remember, Disney has a death grip on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the day right before Thanksgiving. Johan, I like that you paid $2.49 to pick a distracting comment. We're not even talking about Supergirl right now. Okay, so, but, very amusing. So yes, so this will be the weekend right before Thanksgiving, but it's obviously hoping to be a Thanksgiving Christmas film. Now, not everybody remembers that the original Gremlins was indeed a Christmas movie. There he is. There's Gizmo wearing a Christmas hat. Oh, adorable. Okay, and so I gotta tell you, I saw that it was a Christmas movie, and I'm always looking for new Christmas movies because I watch so many Christmas movies every year. I'm like, I need new ones. So I decided, my family and I were like, well, why don't we try Gremlins? Why don't we watch Gremlins as a Christmas movie? Whew, it's not a good Christmas movie. It's a little bit, I still like Batman Returns as a Christmas movie because I like Batman, and that's my favorite Batman movie. No, not my favorite, but I really love it. But anyway, my family was like, these Christmas movies are too dark. So they're like, we don't want to watch Batman Returns anymore. We don't want to watch Gremlins for Christmas anymore. But it was still fun to watch it. But I don't know. That's right. Die Hard is the ultimate Christmas movie. But I don't really know if Gremlins are a good fit. I would, in fact, think that this movie should be coming out for Halloween. Although Josh says, give me all the dark Christmas movies you can. And so does Dustin. So, I don't know. I think that obviously some people will like it. And let's see what the budget on this is. Maybe it's going to be a small budget film, and then they're going to go for that. So you guys are mentioning Klaus and Violent Night, that David Harbour Christmas movie where he played Santa. These movies did okay, but none of them were really big. But yeah, I would have released this for Halloween, but let's see what they decide to do. But it certainly has, that's right, practical effects story. The first one certainly wasn't expensive. Look at that little Gizmo. He's a puppet. All right, so this one certainly, let's keep that up there because it's adorable. It is cute in that little photo. So anyway, Jingle All the Way isn't a dark Christmas movie, Ronnie. That's funny. My family loves Jingle All the Way. Dancer, Donna Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donna, Blitzen. That's so funny. All right, so anyway, if you saw Jingle All the Way, you know what I'm referring to. All right, so Steven, that's right, this is very Baby Yoda coded, Adamsphere. That's true. All right, so Steven Spielberg will return to executive produce as he did the original film. Another Wanda stan. I also love Fred Claus and the Holiday. Fred Claus, I'm glad to see Fred Claus get more popular over the years. That is, in fact, I think one of my favorite Christmas movies, Fred Claus. All right, now everybody's just mentioning Christmas movies. I love it. All right. So the big get also is that Christopher Columbus will direct and produce. He wrote the first film, didn't direct it, but he will return to direct. He's on a bit of a roll. That's him and Steven Spielberg at the premiere of the Thursday Murder Club movie for Netflix, which Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment produced. And then also, of course, Chris Columbus these days is working with his daughter, who helps him produce movies, and they were behind Nosferatu, which I thought was really cool. Is Joe Dante even still around? I think Chris Columbus is a bigger name. And I also, of course, remember he directed Home Alone. So if you're going to have a Christmas movie, I think you want to be able to say from the director of Home Alone, right? From Steven Spielberg and the director of Harry Potter and Home Alone. That is very helpful. All right, but then also Final Destination Bloodlines. The directors of that movie, there they are. Sorry, bye Gizmo. The directors of that movie, Final Destination, which did extremely well for Warner Brothers this year, one of their many hits, they are the writers. They're going back from directing to writing, and they're going to write the movie. And they didn't write Final Destination Bloodlines. The guy who wrote that is the one who usually works with Radio Silence, in fact. And I think they would have been better off to get him. I thought that, although I heard some people tell me that there was a whole writer's rooms were assembled for Final Destination Bloodlines, and there was that was really like a group effort. So if they can do a similar kind of a thing for this movie, it might actually end up being quite good. To me, this last Final Destination was one of the best ones they ever made. John Watts was very heavily involved, Mika, but he didn't. There were writers' rooms that came up with different ways for the characters to die. That's all I'll say. But I have it on very good authority that they had several writers' rooms on that film. So we'll see how it comes together. Not everybody gets credited for writing on a film. The Writers Guild has very specific rules. Like, for instance, we all say, how does anybody hire Christina Hodson? Well, it turns out Christina Hodson works she's a script doctor. And I heard she works on a lot of scripts without any credit. And that's, in fact, how she made a lot of connections in Hollywood. And so, I don't know. I don't know which movies she did off the record. Maybe she ruined them. I don't know. But I think that's very interesting. There's Hollywood's an interesting place. There's a lot of industry stuff that's still, we're scratching the surface, but there's still so much that happens that's interesting to know about. So does anybody have any questions or comments about this story, Gremlins 3? Dakota, there's been no information about what the storyline would be, nor if the cast will return, Antonio. This was just announced. Oh, let me close the poll. Thank you, Fahad. Okay. All right. So 26% of you love them and 26% of you think they're fun. That's great. That's like 50% of you really like them. But then the other 50% don't like them. 26% think meh, and then 22% aren't familiar with them. So that you could potentially be won over. That to me says not too much of a budget. Thank you very much. I'd be like, let's try and keep, this is a budget. What would you guys do as the budget for this? I'd also say I want you to do practical effects. So I would say I'd try and keep it under 60. Oh, yeah. So look at you guys. We thought the same. 50. Most people are doing 50. We got kind of play. Isn't that fun? We're doing like Price is Right movie budgets, right? Like how much do you think these movies should cost? Looks like 50 million is the price. And then X-Men Superfan points out that Gremlins is cute camp. Oh, they are very adorable. Let's see what they decide to do. I like Labubu. I would talk to the Labubu people and see if I could get them to join. I mean, I really would. Maybe they already have, and that's why this got greenlit. I honestly would go to Labubu and I'd say, can we say that you're related to Gremlins? I mean, I think it's a good. Oh, some of you don't like that idea. Oh, well, let's see what happens. I mean, Labubu are very popular. I was so freaked out by Labubu. I was like, get that thing away from me. It looks too evil. I'm like, why would anybody want to carry this around? Labubu to me look like the trolls that were on the plane in Twilight Zone. That's what it looks like to me. I'm not a fan. Hey, Dan. Oh, real Jose has 3 Labubus. What's a Labubu, Danny? They're like these little demonic dolls that like have a really twisted face. I'm like, that thing looks like it wants to harm me. I'm not a fan. But some people really like them. And then Firelord says, will Labubu still be relevant in 2027? Good point. We were having a studio meeting. I'd be like, maybe we shouldn't do it then. That's interesting. That's right, Ivan. The Labubus. Lila says the craze is already over. That was quick. Maybe they did. Maybe it was like Beanie Babies. That Beanie Baby movie was pretty good with Zach Galifianakis. Oh, Legendary Movie Critic says it's also dead already. Really? I haven't seen them around still. But maybe that means they're dead. They're just everywhere. All right. Let's go on to the next story of the day. And then we'll do an Ask Me Anything. All right. Where'd it go? Story number 3. Boom, baby. So yes, it was announced yesterday. And we didn't talk about it on the stream. So I'd have this story for today. KPop Demon Hunters has announced they'll be doing their sequel in 2029. People were like, 2029? That's 4 years from now. And I was like, my God. But people wanted to point out that, well, first off, my question was, well, what was the time with Frozen? Here we go. The first Frozen came out in 2013, and then Frozen 2 didn't come out until 2019. That was a 6-year break. And both movies still made $1 billion. So that would make me feel pretty nice if I were Sony Animation and Netflix. I'd be like, we're only 4 years. and there was still a lot of interest. You know, a lot of people didn't like Frozen 2. I liked it, but then when I recently rewatched them, I thought that Frozen 1 was better. I was like, oh yeah, I can see it. Certainly much better music. But yeah, so the fact that Frozen still worked, I think is pretty impressive. And then the Frozen 3, as you can see, is coming out in 2027. Right before. Oh, that's interesting. That's Gremlins is going up against Frozen 3. Ah, that's the Thanksgiving movie for Disney for 2027. As you can see, November 24th. And Gremlins is coming out November 19th, 2027. Very interesting. Very interesting. That will be an 8-year break between movies, 2019 to 2027. That is incredible. That is a huge, huge break. All right, so also remember Avatar. There was a huge break between the Avatar movies, and it still did extremely well. So I think that this seems okay. Now, why does it take so long? I saw somebody just ask me that. Okay. Well, first off, animation takes a very long time. You know, it's a very painstaking process. You know, they worked on, I'm sure, KPop Demon Hunters for years, but we only heard about it at the last minute because Netflix doesn't advertise anything. So animation is they want to do it right. They're very, you know, they're not going to use AI. They have great facial expressions. It just takes, and they haven't even started it yet. Like, they didn't know this was going to be a hit. So it's not like they have a script ready to go. They have to come up with the idea for the sequel. Oh, thank you, Manny. Manny says the last film took 5 years to make. So they shaved a year off of it. So that's pretty impressive. So yeah, they have to come up with the idea, then they have to write it out, and then they have to animate it. It's just going to take a very long time. And then also, they got to come up with new music. That also is very hard to do. They have to write a lot of new music for the film. So that'll be interesting to see if they can come up with, you know, they have set a very high bar for themselves. They not only have one successful, you know, really, it is like Frozen. They have like a whole bunch of successful songs, like a great album. Resident Justice says also there's an animated prequel short film to KPop Demon Hunters called Debut, which is likely going to play in front of Sony Animation in February. That'd be great. That's the Frozen playbook. Frozen had a bunch of shorts come out, you know, TV specials and in theaters. I'll never forget going to see Coco and how upset everybody was that Olaf's adventure was like 30 freaking minutes. People were like, I ate all my nachos that I bought for Coco. I was like, I'm supposed to be watching Coco eating these nachos. But instead, I ate them while I watched a Scandinavian or Norwegian adventure with, my theater was so upset. People were getting up to go and talk to the management, being like, where is Coco? So I wouldn't do anything like that. But we'll see what they decide to do. And also, I'd be curious to see if they were going to have that short in theaters, because this is a Netflix property, remember. So they're not going to want to put that in theaters, I would think, right? All right, then, you think they might do a theatrical release for the sequel? Here's my thoughts on it, okay? So here's KPop Demon Hunters, the theatrical poster for the sing-along. In theaters, woo! So Netflix, of course, though, is not in the theater business. But I think, you know, they want this to be a really big event. I mean, it will no matter what, because people are pretty excited. Isaac, what do you want me to poll? I'll do it, but what do you think I should poll? I'm not quite sure what you think the question maybe should be. I would release it, and this is what I would do. I would release it in theaters for 1 weekend. I would do, well, there are 2 options. They can do the Taylor Swift model, okay? Where Taylor Swift did a music style thing. Hold on, let me move this so you can see the arrow. She did a music style movie for 1 weekend. I think, let's see, what do you want the poll to be? If it should be streaming or theaters? Oh, okay. Hold on, let me do the poll. Should K-Pop Demon Hunters 2 be streaming or in theaters? 1 weekend in theaters, a few weekends in theaters, or streaming only. No, streaming and theaters same time, or streaming only. There you go. I mean, I think K-pop Demon Hunters, remember the first Taylor Swift movie did about $90 million in a single weekend. I think K-pop Demon Hunters 2 could do that, especially, well, I don't think it would be theaters only. I think it would be like what they're doing with the new Stranger Things with the very final episode. You can either go to see it in the theaters or you can watch it at home. They're not going to create a situation where you'll be left out if you can't get to a theater. But there's the one weekend option where they just do it for one weekend, like the Taylor Swift movie did. Or you can do the recent Netflix release schedule strategy where they're putting like movies like Frankenstein and Wake Up Dead Man in a handful of theaters for just a few weeks. I think this is really for cinephiles. This is a major, major blockbuster. So, do you have any questions or comments about this story? Ben says, can it be a global release? I would think so. Oh, J. Jonah Jameson points out that they have a similar kind of a situation with Narnia. That's 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. I think it's a Thanksgiving. 2 weeks, Thanksgiving weekend for 2 weeks. Adam Steer says, why would Sony give a new hit franchise to Netflix? Because they already signed the deal. They signed the deal before they knew what they had. And I think in fairness, I think Netflix being able to watch this thing immediately on loop was one of the things that made it so popular. And I don't know if it would have been, I mean, maybe it would have. But I think that, the ability to have a global streaming situation and people watch it in their homes, I think it made people more likely to give it a whirl, right? Like, I was not planning to watch it. The reason I watched K-pop Demon Hunters is I wasn't feeling well the day it came out. And I had kind of been intrigued by the Soda Pop short that was playing online to promote it. And I was like, well, let me check this thing out. I want something to watch while I eat my lunch. So I'll watch it for a little bit and I'll see if it's good. I watched the whole thing. And then the next day I watched it with other people because I was like, you got to see this thing. And I don't know if people would have gone to try it if it had been in theaters as much. Ben 10, I'm sorry to hear that it wasn't released in theaters in France, but now that Netflix knows what they have, maybe they'd be able to figure it out. I'm sorry you didn't like it, Kay Walton. Oh, Danny had the same experience. Let's see. Well, Keith, they won't be 10 at this point. They'll be 14, which will make them even more adept at social media. Oh, yeah, that's true. What would the story be about, right? Okay, let's do that. I have, what's going on? I think one of the biggest questions is, spoilers if you haven't seen it. Rumi, the lead singer, is half demon. And that's her deep, dark secret that she's hiding. It's very Frozen coded. Very Frozen coded. So she has 2 sisters instead of 1. But yeah, she is half demon. She's having a rough day there, as you can see. But then when she gets control of them, she looks a little bit, more like a good guy again. But everybody wants to know, I think, what was the situation? What happened? What happened to her mother? Who was her dad? How did they fall in love, even though her mother was a demon hunter? I think people are very interested in that. And so we'll see if that's something they do for the short story, or if maybe they decide to the director did say that they have a lot of backstory they can explore, but I'm not, it's right. The great thing about it is that it's based on music, and there's been a K-pop Demon Hunters band for centuries. And so there's so many different styles of music, which I think was really clever. And so there's a lot of cool things they can do, particularly in the shorts space. Ben 10, I think I probably will vote for K-pop Demon Hunters for Best Animated Feature. And Maisie wants to point out that they'd already worked those plot lines out for the film, but had to cut them for time. So yeah, that would allow them to really hit the ground running. I mean, maybe they even animated some of them. So that would certainly make them want to rush those out. And then Adam Sphere says, what was the bigger hit, Encanto or K-pop? I think K-pop. Encanto was very big, but I think they're both big. And Disney's about to, they're about to start building a theme park land for Encanto at Animal Kingdom in Orlando. Sockley, it does qualify for the Oscars. All Netflix movies have a small qualifying run when they first come out in just a handful of theaters. Atmosphere, I don't know which was bigger off the top of my head because, they don't really have nobody keeps a tally of viewership. And in fact, Netflix has stopped reporting after 91 days of the numbers for K-pop. So nobody even knows what K-pop is at right now. Let me close the poll. Thank you, Fahad. All right. Okay, 47% of you want it to be in theaters for a few weekends. Let's see if Netflix will do it. 23% think it should be in streaming and theaters the same time. 19% say one weekend in theaters, and then 11% say streaming only. Let's see what happens. That's really exciting. I'm really curious as to what's going to happen to Netflix in the theatrical space. The genie is definitely outside the bottle. And I think it's really good for the theatrical space. I think that's Flaves. You voted correctly. I love it. But I think that, for a long time, people would be like, no, I want to watch stuff at home. So the fact that the pendulum is swinging the other way now and people are going back to, I want to see this in theaters, I think is really exciting. Yeah, we did go through the topics today, Kay Walton, pretty fast, right? So let's do a 10-minute Ask Me Anything. I think 2 of them were pretty short topics. Booyah! Alrighty, so 15 minutes. Mika says it was just I need a story for tomorrow if I have time to do a live stream, Mika. But Mika says that Gareth Edwards is returning for the next Jurassic World movie. Maybe I'll tell you how I feel about it tomorrow. Ben, I don't know if you're talking about, I'm glad you think Ariana looks amazing, but she did go back to being a brunette. And I think it's interesting how much her hair color changes her image. I think she looks beautiful both ways, but it was interesting to see. Let's see here. TJM says, hey, Grace, is there anything in particular you want to see in the Doomsday trailer? I want it to just seem exciting, and I want it to seem, if it comes out, like classic Marvel. That's what I'm looking for. Oliver says, Grace, if you heard the game Dispatch, it's a superhero workplace comedy starring Aaron Paul, kind of like The Boys Meets The Office. Oh, that does sound cool. That's a good name. I have not heard of it. And then Sahib says, nothing on the Hello Kitty movie? I can't cover every story, and I just chose not to cover that. I don't think we have enough information about it, besides the fact they're going to make it. I try to choose stories that appeal to different audiences. I don't want the stream to have all one type of story. So I know that might be disappointing sometimes to some of you, but I try to put in a story that might not interest some of you, but the story you're interested in doesn't interest some other people. So that's kind of how I try to put my streams together. Tovi says, how has New York been since elections? It feels exactly the same. But then, of course, Mamdani's not mayor yet. He won't take his position until January 1st. Caramel, I don't watch American Horror Story. I tried the very first episode when it first started, and I was like, too scary for me. Turned it off. So I don't watch that show. But I'm happy for Ariana Grande in any regard. Lila, I'm so glad you're excited to watch trailers with me in December. We're going to have a really good time. Those are the kind of trailers that get breakdowns. It'll feel like old times. I'm excited. AAH says, hey, Grace, love the BTT community here. I want to ask, how accurate is the BTT polling sample compared to the general public? Obviously it's a spot poll as to who can tune into the live stream and who's a member. I think it just kind of shows you what we're thinking at the moment. It's certainly not like a scientific poll. Hey, Angela, hi to you and your brother, as always. Angela asks, now that you saw Wicked, do you think it will make $1 billion? I don't want to talk about Wicked, not because it's not a good movie, but I think it's too early to discuss it. But the review embargo lifts November 18th. But I think Wicked fans will be very happy with the film. A lot of people were crying at my screening. X-Men Superfan says, do you think that Greta the Gremlin should appear with drag queens as a tongue-in-cheek moment in Gremlins 3? I'm not sure who Greta the Gremlin is, I'm sorry to say. But, I think, they should consider all things. Slade, I'm so glad you enjoyed Marvel Zombies. When did it start? I don't think we're seeing it in uh I don't think that we've been seeing it in the Nielsen ratings, but when did it start? Okay, it started September 24th, and we're past that. So, not looking so good, I'm sorry to say. Juan, I'm so glad you're going to go see Predator Badlands with your dad. That makes me very happy. Let's see here. Johan, I hope they upgrade theaters as well. I want everyone to be able to see things in the best premium experience. Obed says, "Hey Grace, do you cook for Thanksgiving? If so, what does your perfect plate include?" As my family likes to say, we're sides kids. I like sides. I like stuffing and mashed potatoes. A good vegetable you got to get in there. I like asparagus, broccoli. I like green vegetables and tomatoes. Try and eat some cranberries because you're supposed to. Gravy. But we don't always cook for Thanksgiving. One year we did turkey meatballs with spaghetti, and that was great. I really loved that. I thought that was awesome. One year I made a pecan pie, which I posted a picture of, and I was very proud of myself. Hey, X-Men Superfan, thank you again. Again, that's so generous of you. Thank you so much. Oh, Sus, I'm glad you're having lunch. I'm glad we can keep you company. Oliver says, in Dispatch, the Superman Omni-Man knockoff is totally Starfire coded. At one point, if you tell him you kissed his girlfriend... that sounds interesting, Oliver. I'll have to check that show out. The CD says, will there be another Doomsday cast announcement? Well, I don't think so at this point. Let's see what, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they kick things off with the campaign. I mean, they're going to be a year early. So that's very early. So they're still going to keep things largely close to the vest. Danny, I don't know if I'm going to cover Wonder Man. It's a lot of work to cover a show. And I think that looks like kind of like the kind of content that, now Marvel's moving away from. But they still had a couple of things that they had already filmed. Let's see here. Maisie says, I'm seeing a triple feature of Wizard of Oz and the two Wicked films back to back the day Wicked for Good comes out. That's going to be a wonderful experience. You're going to have a great time. I will say that I think it would be beneficial to watch the two films back to back, like you would a play. Take a little intermission, then go back and watch the new film. Tavares says the new Katy Perry Band-Aid single comes out at 7. Well, I hope things turn around for Katy Perry. We'll see. Oh, official Liam says that your family did spaghetti for Christmas and it was amazing. Spaghetti is a delicious food. You can never go wrong with spaghetti. X-Men Superfan says, what is the appeal of Sofia Coppola as a director in your opinion? I think she has a very feminine perspective and very ethereal quality to her work. She's not particularly commercial, but I think what also benefits her is she has a very specific style, and I think it always helps any artist to have a signature style that differentiates their work from everybody else's. Adam Sphere says, are you excited for Godzilla -1? Or -2. Yeah, I didn't love the last movie as much as everybody else did, but I certainly respect its success. Marky Mark, I don't like Ultimate X-Men. I don't read that comic. I don't read really any X-Men comics anymore, which makes me sad because they're one of my favorite teams. City Swinger says, how are you, Grace? Is there any news on when the Brand New Day trailer will be released? Big fan from the UK. I haven't heard anything on that one, but we were guessing that maybe they might want to wait till the Super Bowl. But let's see. Let's see what happens now that GTA 6 has moved. Let's see if any movies decide to switch things around tomorrow and move their release dates in the next few days. Maria says, Doomsday needs to give us just enough to theorize. Right? Wasn't that fun when we used to... that's one of the problems with scooping. That we can no longer play the maybe this is what they're doing game. And I think that really is something I miss about these projects. Noelle, we were talking about the GTA 6 release date change. We feel like a lot of people need to move their stuff, boy, right? Oh, Angela's seeing a double feature for Wicked as well. That's great. Ryan, what's for dinner? I'm thinking of getting a sweet green salad. I might get this kale Caesar, but try and substitute steak for chicken. And maybe add a little avocado. Avocado is so healthy for you. I try to eat it whenever I can. The other day I got a salad with avocado and salmon in it, and then I ordered it. I always try and order things on the app because this could happen to you. So they sent me a text saying, "How'd it go? Did you enjoy your lunch?" And I said, "I gotta tell you, the lettuce and the salad wasn't that fresh." And they said, "Oh, we're so sorry. We've just comped your lunch." And I was like, "Wow, thank you." So that was pretty nice. So hopefully next time the lettuce is in better shape because that was not a cheap salad. Dory, I'm not sure about X-Men 97, the new season. I haven't heard anything about that, but I'm very excited. I certainly love the first one. Hey, Noel, welcome to the chat. Deck Officer, I'm sure there will be a new Odyssey trailer soon. Probably in front of Avatar, if I'm going to be honest with you. That's where I would put that. I wouldn't put it in front of Wicked. I think I think it's just going to fall flat with the Wicked audience, and then they're not going to want to overshadow their own movie with everybody talking about the Odyssey. They want you to talk about Wicked. So I go stick it in front of Avatar. X-Men Superfan says, what do you think people don't understand about Marilyn Monroe? I think what people don't understand about Marilyn Monroe is that she was very smart, and that was a persona that she created. And, she might have had some problems. It might have been difficult to work with because of those problems. But I don't think people should be dismissive of her very clear talent. And she was a very gifted comedian, which I've always respected. Oh, Ryan loves the sweet green. I'm glad to see a lot of other avocado fans as well. Theater Kid's going to have Taco Bell. Well, now I'm thinking Taco Bell. Delicious. Dwight says, have you heard rumors that Captain Marvel and She-Hulk will not be in Doomsday? Haven't heard anything, but I wouldn't put them in Doomsday. I'd be like, I just need this movie to succeed. That's all I care about. And then RPW says, Grace, hey from the UK, who should go first, Supergirl or Lanterns? It's hard for me to say. If I were DC making that decision, it would honestly be who has the better trailer. You know? That's right, Ben 10. We start to vote for Critics' Choice nominations on November 25th. That's when our ballots go out. Malik is going to have popcorn and an icy while watching Predator Badlands in IMAX. You're going to have such a great evening. Enjoy it. And then Theater Kid says, I know it's over a year away, but how do you think Dune 3 will do at the box office? I don't know. Happy birthday in advance, Flaves. Let's see. I got to see how the movie looks. If they try and make us all hate Lisa and Al Gaib, I mean, let's see how they handle it. But, it's got to have a lot of cool action in it and stuff like that. Atmosphere, I will be breaking down House of Dairy episode 3 for sure, but that doesn't drop until Sunday. Remember, it's back on its Sunday nights. Yes, Rodney, I will definitely see Wicked for Good on a bigger screen because my dad wants to see it. He loved the first movie so much. He's a little nervous that this one seems more serious, but we already have tickets to go, and so I'm very excited for him to see it. Andre says, do you think Dune 3 will get Oscars? Well, again, I have to see the quality of the film and what the message is. I'm not sure. I think it'll probably continue to get craft Oscars, but you got to see what else. It's always what else is coming out that year. It's hard to craft an awards narrative that far in advance. Like the kudos to the One Battle After Another awards team. They got that out front. They set the tone, and no one else has been able to match that hype. Oh, Morphed. I think One Battle After Another is good. It's actually even better the more you watch it. And I think the first 30 minutes is a little bit controversial and a little bit, it's supposed to challenge you. But I really think that, the second 2/3 of the film are great, even on a first viewing. Yes, Juan, I will watch Sentimental Value and hopefully A Secret Agent so that I can cast my votes. I'm glad you're going to give it a whirl, Morphed. It comes out on digital very soon. Noelle says, what do you think about the Wicked 2 ad campaign so far? It's not everywhere at the moment, but let's see. People are certainly buying their tickets. I think there's a special on this evening. I saw you guys talking about it before the stream started. I think, it's been a minute since a big movie came out. So I think it's poised to do quite well. Classic Movie Lover says, who are you voting for Best Picture? Well, definitely One Battle After Another and Sinners. I think that's all I have on my list right now. I have to still think about it. Let me go look. Oh, it's on my phone. I think it's on my phone. Did I put it on my phone? Where did I put it? There it is. It's not on my phone. It's on my computer. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is what I wrote down so far. One Battle After Another, Sinners, F1, Materialists, and Wicked for Good. Those are the ones that I'm thinking. I mean, I don't think I only get to nominate 5 movies for Best Picture, and then I have to put them in order. So I have to think about it. I'll do a video when I do that vote. X-Men Superfan, I'm not sure who Elliot Page will play in The Odyssey, but I think it's really, I'm curious to see how Nolan's fandom reacts to him being in the movie. Yeah, Lila, I really liked Materialists. I thought it was really good. I did get invited to an early Hamnet screening, Ben, but I just wasn't able to make it. All right, so that's the 15 minutes. Let me do some quick shout-outs. Because I haven't done those in a while. And then I got to get back to work. I mean, technically I'm working right now, but I don't think of talking to you guys as work. Juan, I'm seeing Running Man on Monday. Atmosphere, it is 5 p.m. in New York City. And already dark outside. It's winter, baby. Oh, Hector, you're at work too? I love it. Danny, always nice to see you in Guatemala. Oh, look, Fahad is up. It's 1 a.m. in Qatar. Thanks for staying up with us. Oh, let's see here. Rodney just finished an almost 90-minute workout on a treadmill, heading home now. You must feel good about yourself, right? Clapback Cinema says, sitting in Indianapolis having pork chops, mac and cheese, and mashed potatoes, waiting for the Wicked special. Wow, you're really treating yourself. That sounds great. Noir Noel is in Colorado about to get a cheeseburger. Yum, yum, yum. Malik just clocked out of work. Well, Tigress is cuddling with a puppy. And Lila says it's also 5 p.m. where they are in Canada. My pleasure, Obu. I'm glad you enjoyed today's stream. Isaac says it's 4 p.m. in Texas, still sunny. And Mike Jones has just 1 more hour of work to go, while Flaves is in Texas getting ready for your birthday celebration. I hope you have a great day. Rogue Frogger, I haven't seen Blue Moon yet, but it's on my list. Let's see here. Ryan says doing chores while enjoying the stream. And then Daniel is in Los Angeles packing for Puerto Vallarta tomorrow. Oh, vacation, here you go. Elise says 5:30 before it gets dark where you are. Well, that's good. You're just a little bit behind me. And Jonah says, much love from Medellin, Colombia. Just finished my shift at work. Thank you. I'm glad I could keep you company at the end of your day. And Ben, as always, bonjour in France. Let's see here. Theater Kid, because of the YouTube dispute, can't watch the Wicked special. Maybe it'll stream on the internet or something. Let's see here. And then Ramekin is enjoying being a member again thanks to a generous gift. Isn't that wonderful? Somebody, I'm really, such a generous community that you guys gift so many memberships. And Robin Zilla says, finished work and decided to get Indian food. I'll cook again tomorrow. I know how you feel. Let's see here. And then J. Jonah Jameson gives a shout out to the other Jonah. I love it. Bunny Librarian says, any pump up recommendations? Need to start training for the Disneyland half marathon. Oh, Disney marathons are so fun. You know, if you subscribe to Apple Music, they have like, you can get a get up playlist for yourself, and they have like peppy music they think you'll like. And then Andre says, hi Grace, I'm from Lima, Peru. I'm running another half marathon on Sunday by the seaside. Wish me luck. Great live stream. Thank you so much. And I definitely break a leg. You know, I want to wish you good luck. And that sounds like a beautiful place to run a marathon. I've only ever run a 5K. I'll tell you my 5K story, and then I must go. So I was doing a Disney marathon, and I was talking to another family member, and they were like, I'm going to run my own race. I want to see how fast I can run this 5K. So I'm just going to run by myself. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, that sounds pretty good to me. I wonder how fast I could run the 5K if I was let loose and could just run it myself. So I was going to run with my dad. So I turned to my dad and I said, Dad, I want to run my own race. So I'm going to run this 5K by myself. Don't think I'm going to stay with you for the whole race. I'll see you at the finish line, but I need to know how I'll do. So they begin the race. My other family member who came up with this idea, front of the pack. I see her leggings turning the corner and like one of the first maybe 10 people. I was amazed. I start running. I'm running as fast as I think I can go. Then after about 2 minutes, my dad just very casually jogs up next to me and he goes, hey, Grace. And I go, oh my God, Dad. All right. And he goes, how's it going? All right. And I go, Dad, because clearly my dad, he wasn't even running as fast as he could. And I go, Dad, run your race. I said, you don't have to wait for me. You'd see how you can do. And he goes, no, I'd rather just run with somebody else. I'm not really in it to see how fast I can do it. I just in it for the camaraderie. So I was like, okay, Dad. And we ran the rest of the race together. And I'll always remember that. And it was just so funny and thinking of my dad doing that. So that's my 5K story. My dad is really lovely. All right. I had a great time talking to you guys as always. I'm hoping to do another live stream tomorrow. All right. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye.